Hello everyone, I am Ayush Agarwal from ABES Engineering College. So in our today's lecture, we'll start the concept of SQL, that is structured query language. But before starting our video, let us discuss that what we have covered in this particular unit till now. So we have started from a relational model. We have understood that what is a relational model, what is the structure of relational model, and then we have discussed that what are the constant and any types that can be applied onto the relational model. Then we discussed different type of keys, what is the need of keys. Then we have discussed the different operators used in relational algebra, that can be fundamental, that can be joined based on joins, or that can be extended relational operators. Now in today's lecture, we'll discuss the concept of SQL. And we have already discussed that relational model is practically implemented by using SQL, that is the structured query language. So let us start with our discussion for today. So if we talk about SQL, basically it is a query language used for storing and managing data in RDBMSs like Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, etc. So basically this is a particular language that is used to create the structure, to insert or to store the data into that particular structure, and how to manage the data in the relational database management system. And it enables a user to create, read, update, and delete relational databases and tables. We'll discuss one by one how to create, how to read, how to update, how to delete these particular data from the relational database. But it enables a user to handle or manage the data in the database management system. It also allows user to query the database in a number of ways using English-like statements. So basically, if we want to access some data from the database, so we need some query to perform to activate. So this allow us to query the database in a number of ways. So we'll also discuss how we can access the data from the database management system. We have some features of SQL here. So basically, it is an ANSI standard for operating relational database. It is an open source, so you can use anywhere from everywhere. Like we have RDBMSs like Oracle, MySQL Server, MySQL, and SQL Server, and so on. It is efficient. It is functionally complete. It is easy to learn and use, and it is case insensitive. So you can write in any fonts, in any case letters. So it is a case insensitive language. Now we have some advantages of SQL as well. So first of all, we have high speed. It means that using SQL queries, user can easily or quickly and effectively retrieve a large amount of records from the database. Next, we have no coding needed. It means that in standard SQL, it is very easy to manage the database system, and it does not require a substantial amount of code to manage the database system. We have some queries to access the data, but we do not require a substantial amount of coding. Next, we have well-defined standards. So it means basically, if we talk about long establishment are used by the SQL database that are being used by the ISO and ANSI standards. Next, we have portability, which means that it can be used in laptop, we will use in PCs, we can use in servers, and even some mobile phones in also can be used this particular language. Next, we have interactive language, which means that SQL is a domain language used to communicate with database, and it is also used to retrieve answers or retrieve the information to complex queries in records. Lastly, we have multiple data view, which means that using SQL language, a user can make different views of the database structure, right? So these are the basic advantage of SQL we have. Now, next we have SQL data types. Like any other language, this type of language also have some data types which represents the nature of the data that can be stored in a particular database table. So we have a table, we have some attributes in it. So basically for every attribute, we need to mention the data type of the attribute, which represents the nature of the data that can be stored, right? If we talk about the database, the database data types are categorized into three major categories. We have some other categories also, but these three are the major categories which are used in the database. That is string, second we have numeric, and third we have data and time. But one point is to be noted that data types might have different names in different RDBMSs, right? If let's suppose if I'm using SQL Server, so the data type is used to create the nature of the data is something different that will be different in Oracle. Moreover, even if the name is same, the size and other details may be different. So we will manage according to the database which we are using for the access of database or data type. So now we have SQL string data types. So these are the different data types we have used in as for SQL. We have char, we have varchar, we have blob, we have text, we have medium text, we have long text. So these all data types are used to store the string type of data into the database. Next, we have numeric data type. So basically, if we want to store the numeric data type or numeric data into our particular column or particular attribute, so we are using these type of data types. Like we have bool, we have int, we have float, we have bit, we have tiny int. So basically, the difference lies how we are. No, we want to access, we want to store the data. That only means what type of data type we are using for that particular column. Next, we have date and time data type. So we can use date if we want to store a particular date of birth of a student or an employee. So we can use this date particular data type. We have date and time. So with date, we can also store the time, at what time the data is being stored and something else like that. We can also use timestamp, we can also use only time, and we can also use a year also. So these are some data types that can be used under date and time data types, right? Now, SQL statements. Basically, the commands used in SQL are generally termed as SQL statements. Whether it will be for creating the structure, whether it will be for managing the structure, whether it will be for storing the structure, right? So basically, for every statements, we are using commands, and these SQL statements are categorized into basically four major categories. We have mentioned here five, but categorized into four major categories. First of all, we have data definition language, that stands for DDL, data manipulation language, data query language, data control language, and transaction control language, right? Now, first of all, we'll understand what is data definition language. So data definition language is used to define the structure of the database or its structure of table. And it includes the following commands. Like if we want to create a table, so we can use alt create command. If we want to alter the structure of the table, then we'll use alter command. If we want to delete the table permanently, then we can use drop command. If we want to rename some column name or some table name, so we can use rename. And if we want to only delete the data from the database, then we can use a truncate command. So these are the different commands used under DDL. We'll discuss one by one in our further lectures what is the syntax of every command and how we can use it. Next, we have data manipulation language, and this particular language is used to manipulate the data in terms of storage, in terms of updation, in terms of deletion. So basically, three different commands here we are using. Insert command is used to insert a particular row into a table. The update is used to update a particular data in the table, and delete is used to is used to delete a particular data from the table, right? Though these are the commands that will be used in data manipulation language. Now next we have data query language. This is a language that will be maximum utilized or maximum covered under this particular SQL commands or SQL statements, because majorly at majorly if we talk about, we are using select command, because if we create a particular database, so once only we can create it, only once we are inserting the data or updation. These are the commands that are used very rarely, right? But what the major command we are using, that will be select command or data query language will be used, because this is the very frequently command that will be used, because this is the command used to access the data from the database, right? So this is the only command we are using, select command under DQL language. Next, we have data control language. So what does it mean? It means that how you can control your data from the different users. It will allow us to grant or revoke the permission to that users, right? So if we want any user to particular any user to access the data, so we can grant the permission with the help of this grant command. And if we do not want any user to now access the data in the database, so we can revoke we can use this revoke command. And using this revoke command, any particular user will cannot access the data anymore, right? So these are the two commands that will be used in data control language. Next, we have transaction control language. It means if we want to control the transaction, and if we want to control the properties of that transaction, then we can use this type of language. And this transaction control language includes following commands. We have commit, we have rollback, and we have save point. If all the transaction or if all the operations of the transactions are successfully operated or successfully done, then we'll use this commit command, and it means that the data which you are operated on are permanently saved on the database. Uh, During the operation of the transaction, if any transaction got fail, so in that case we are using rollback. And what does it mean? It goes to the initial state of the transaction, and all the operations which we have completed before failure of that transaction will be nullified. And next, we have save point. Save point is used to basically save our operations to recover from the failure. So basically, if the transaction have four operations, and if we have already covered two operations, so after that we will use save point. So after third operation, if the transaction got failed, so we do not need to recover from the first statement. We'll move to the third statement, because after second statement we have used the save point. So these are the some commands that will be used under transaction control language, right? So these are the references through which the content is being taken for the development of this video lecture series. Thank you so much. And if you like my video, so you can share and like this video. Thank you so much.